They say wealth is a matter of strategy, effort, or luck, but the millionaire rabbi who mentored me insisted those are merely the outer layers. Real abundance, he said, is spiritual first, material second. I didn't believe him at first. I thought he was using poetic language, dressing up practical advice in mysticism. But that illusion shattered the night he revealed the 1-minute prayer that alters the flow of provision, the prayer that pulls opportunity toward you as naturally as gravity pulls the tide. Before we go deeper, I want you to do something simple yet spiritually consequential. Write in the comments one sentence that expresses what abundance means to you right now. Not a wish, not a fantasy, just a sentence that reflects the wealth your soul is quietly craving. And here is why. When you speak a desire publicly, you anchor it. You remove its disguise. You transform it from a silent hope into a declared intention. In Jewish wisdom, intention that is spoken becomes instruction, and instruction rearranges the world around you. Your comment is not formality. It is the first ripple of creation. The rabbi told me that most people struggle financially not because they lack capacity, but because their spirit is misaligned with receiving. They pray for abundance, he said, but they speak scarcity. They hope for overflow, but they declare limitation. The universe cannot obey a prayer that contradicts their daily language. His words landed like a stone in my chest. I began remembering the sentences I had casually thrown into the air. Sentences shaped by fear, exhaustion, or habit. Sentences that were silently carving the borders of my financial life. He leaned forward, lowering his voice to the tone he used only when revealing something sacred. "There is a prayer," he whispered, "that resets this contradiction. It is short, 1 minute at most, but in that minute, the gates open." I felt the atmosphere shift around us, as if the room itself recognized the weight of what was being spoken. He told me this prayer had been guarded for generations, passed down from teacher to disciple, not because it was forbidden, but because it required readiness. The unprepared treat powerful things carelessly. The prepared treat them reverently, and reverence awakens possibility. What startled me wasn't the existence of the prayer. It was the idea that such a small ritual could influence the flow of provision in the real world. I had always believed wealth required long hours, sacrifice, and practicality. But the rabbi explained that effort is only the second step. First, he said, you must open the spiritual channel. Without that, work becomes struggle, and struggle becomes survival. His voice softened. The 1-minute prayer does not create wealth. It uncovers the path to it. I felt a stirring inside me, a mixture of skepticism and longing. Something in me knew this wasn't superstition. It was alignment, something deeper than hustle, older than ambition, woven into the fabric of creation itself. And just as I prepared to ask how such a prayer could hold so much power, the rabbi gently raised a hand, guiding me toward the ancient principle that makes all of this possible. The rabbi rested his palm on the wooden table, as if grounding the moment before peeling back the veil on something ancient. His voice softened into a tone that felt older than both of us. Before you understand the prayer, he said, you must understand the law that makes it work. He opened a thin, time-worn volume of Jewish writings, its margins crowded with the ink of generations. In our tradition, abundance is not something you pursue, it is something you align with. He traced a line on the page with the gentleness of someone touching a memory. The world was not built through hands, he continued. It was built through speech. God spoke and reality unfolded, word after word, layer after layer, from light to land to life itself. And because we are made in that image, our words do not describe our world, they shape it. I felt the truth of it stirring inside me, not as concept, but as recognition, a memory of something I had always sensed yet never understood. He told me that Jewish mysticism teaches that wealth flows through channels, spiritual pathways formed long before they manifest as opportunities, ideas, or income. Most people try to change their financial condition by forcing matter, working harder, panicking more, chasing outcomes. But matter, he said, is the last stage of creation. Speech is the first. His eyes met mine with intensity. Fix the first stage and the last stage obeys. Ignore the first stage and the last becomes chaos. Then he spoke of his lineage, a chain of teachers who had passed this understanding from father to son, from rabbi to student. His great-grandfather, a Kabbalist who lived in a small mountain village, was said to possess an uncanny ability to bless struggling merchants. People traveled for days to hear him speak a single sentence over their hands. Not because of superstition, but because they believed something profound. Intention plus speech equals formation. Formation invites flow. Flow becomes wealth. The rabbi lifted the book again, revealing another teaching. In Hebrew, the word for speech and the word for thing share the same root. To speak is to bring into being. This is why your language around money matters. When you speak lack, you sculpt lack. When you speak fear, you sculpt barriers. And when you speak alignment, the gates open. He paused long enough for breath to settle between us. This is the contrast, he said. Modern society tells you to hustle, grind, and pray for luck. Ancient wisdom tells you to align your vibration and let wealth come towards you as water runs downhill. His tone sharpened just slightly. But alignment has an enemy, one so subtle that most people don't even know they are blocking their own abundance. I felt a soft tension rising in my chest, the anticipation of a truth that might sting before it liberates. The rabbi closed the book gently and leaned in. Because before you can use the 1-minute prayer, he said, you must see the mistake almost everyone makes, the error that shuts down the entire flow of provision before it even begins. The rabbi let the room settle into a stillness that felt deliberate, as though silence itself were a teaching. Then he spoke, not with drama, but with the quiet certainty of someone naming something painfully obvious yet rarely seen. The greatest blockage to wealth, he said, is not lack of opportunity. It is not competition, not circumstance, not background. The greatest blockage is the way people speak about their own financial lives. He leaned closer, his eyes narrowing slightly. The most common mistake, the one almost everyone makes, is speaking limitation as if it were identity. His voice did not rise, but the weight of his words pressed firmly on my chest. They say, I can't afford this. I never have enough. Money is difficult. My life is tight. Things are hard. They are not describing their situation. They are signing a contract with it. A quiet ache opened inside me because I recognized those sentences, some spoken aloud, others whispered in the privacy of my thoughts. The rabbi continued, in our tradition, the mouth is not a reporter, it is a creator. When you speak lack, you bind yourself to it. When you name scarcity, you anchor it. When you declare limitation, you instruct reality to maintain it. He paused, then shared a story from his own family. His great-uncle, a merchant who sold spices in a crowded marketplace, once suffered a season of terrible sales. Yet whenever someone asked how business was going, he would say, business is slow, people aren't buying, times are tough. And each time he said it, the rabbi explained, he reinforced the very stagnation he feared. He wasn't lying, the rabbi added, but he wasn't liberating himself either. One afternoon, the elder rabbi pulled him aside and said, your tongue has become your accountant, and it is keeping your books in the red. It took the merchant 3 days, just 3, to adjust his words. He stopped saying business was slow. He started saying, blessings are on the way. Customers are coming. I am preparing for a good season. And slowly, without fanfare, the tide turned. First, 1 customer, then 3, then a regular flow. Not magic, alignment. As the rabbi told the story, something inside me tightened with a mix of shame and awakening. I had spoken about money the same way, as if my conditions were cages instead of temporary rooms. I had narrated my scarcity as if it were my identity. The rabbi saw the recognition forming in my eyes. "Do not be ashamed," he said gently. "Everyone does this. They confuse describing their reality with declaring their destiny." He let the words rest, warm but unyielding. You cannot pray for abundance while speaking the language of scarcity. The two cannot coexist. I felt the truth of that line ripple through me like a quiet shock, clarifying years of confusion in a single moment. The rabbi exhaled slowly, and his voice dropped into something even deeper.
"Now that you see the first blockage," he said, "you must understand the law that explains why your words carry such power, why speech opens or shuts the gates of wealth without hesitation." The rabbi opened the old volume again, but this time he didn't read from it. Instead, he rested his fingertips lightly on the page, as if touching an invisible current woven through the parchment. "There is a principle," he said, "that sits at the center of Jewish wisdom about abundance. A principle so simple it is often ignored, yet so powerful it shapes every form of blessing." His voice slowed. "The Talmud teaches that the vessel must match the blessing. If the vessel is too small, the blessing cannot enter. If the vessel is blocked, the blessing cannot flow." He lifted his head and looked directly at me. "Your words," he said, "are your vessel." At first, I struggled to understand. But then he continued, his tone shifting into a patient clarity. "When you speak limitation, you shrink the vessel. You make yourself spiritually too small to receive what you have asked for. When you speak stagnation, you block the vessel, like placing a stone over the mouth of a well. And when you pretend everything is fine, you close the vessel entirely." His gaze softened. "This is why many people pray for prosperity, yet feel nothing change. Their vessel cannot hold what they are asking for." He gestured subtly with his hands, drawing an invisible shape in the air. "Think of it like a cup," he said. "If the cup is already full of false contentment, full of resignation, full of the stories you tell yourself, there is no room for abundance to pour in. If the cup is cracked by doubt or fear, the blessing leaks out. And if the cup is turned upside down, closed, guarded, defensive, then even the greatest flow cannot reach it." Then he shifted into the psychological dimension, seamlessly weaving ancient and modern understanding. "Your brain is designed to obey your words. It is a loyal servant. When you say money is hard, your mind will filter reality to protect that belief. When you say I cannot prosper, your nervous system will shut down the pathways of creativity and opportunity. But when you speak abundance, even before you see it, your mind begins opening doors, noticing possibilities, building momentum." I felt a quiet resonance inside me, as though the truths he spoke were not new, but remembered from somewhere hidden. The rabbi lowered his voice even more. "This is why the 1-minute prayer works. It expands the vessel. It opens the channel. It aligns the mind, the spirit, and the world around you." He tapped the book gently. "But before we reach that prayer, you must examine something within yourself." He leaned in, his tone shifting into something almost intimate. "Where in your financial life have you been pretending? Where have you said, 'I'm okay,' when you were drowning? Where have you forced yourself to sound grateful while secretly shrinking inside?" The questions hung in the air like lanterns, illuminating corners of my life I had avoided. I felt the discomfort and the relief of truth settling together in my chest. And as that realization deepened, the rabbi's expression changed, subtle, serious, almost knowing. "Because understanding the vessel," he murmured, "is only the beginning." The second mistake people make is even more dangerous. The rabbi's posture shifted, straightening with the subtle gravity of someone preparing to reveal a truth that wounds before it liberates. "The second mistake," he said quietly, "is far more seductive than the first. It doesn't sound negative. It doesn't shrink you the way words of scarcity do. In fact, it feels pleasant, comforting, even victorious." He paused. The second mistake is believing you've already done enough. A strange heaviness settled in my stomach. He continued, people taste a small improvement, a little extra money, a good week, a promising opportunity, and they relax. They ease their discipline. They soften their intention. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. My grandfather used to say, when a man stops swimming, even in calm water, he begins to sink.
Then, with a sudden glimmer of humor, he added, and remember, a crocodile that falls asleep becomes a handbag. I couldn't help it. I laughed. The image was too absurd, too vivid. But behind the laughter was a piercing truth. The rabbi used humor the way a surgeon uses anesthesia to make a difficult truth easier to receive. He leaned forward. The moment you relax after a small victory, your mind sends a message to the universe. I'm done. I've reached enough. And just like that, the flow slows, the gate narrows, the blessing pauses. He tapped his temple with 2 fingers. Your brain is wired to conserve energy. When it senses relief, it shuts down the systems responsible for growth. Creativity quiets. Opportunity becomes invisible. Ambition falls asleep. I felt the sting of recognition. Memories surfaced. Moments when I had gained a little ground financially and immediately loosened my grip on everything that had gotten me there. Moments when I mistook momentum for completion. Moments when I whispered, finally, things are settling, instead of, let's keep expanding. The rabbi watched my reaction and his voice softened. Be kind to yourself. Everyone falls into this trap. We mistake the first drops of abundance for the entire river. He interlaced his fingers on the table. But abundance is not a moment. It is a movement. And movement cannot continue if you stop creating it. He explained that spiritually, wealth is a current. When you engage it actively through intention, words, and aligned action, it accelerates. When you disengage, even subtly, the current slows. It is not punishment, he said. It is simply physics, spiritual physics. Then his tone deepened. This is why the 1-minute prayer is so important. It sustains momentum. It keeps the vessel open. It reminds the universe, I am still growing, still working, still expanding. Without that reminder, most people fall asleep in the middle of their miracle. The words settled into me like seeds, uncomfortable but alive. The rabbi folded his hands, his expression turning solemn once more. But even this is not the greatest danger, he said. There is a third mistake, quiet, comfortable, deadly. A lie so gentle that most people never realize it is suffocating their wealth. He inhaled slowly, as though preparing me for something far deeper. And now, he murmured, you must face the lie that destroys more abundance than any hardship ever could. The rabbi's voice lowered, not in secrecy, but in reverence, as if the truth he was about to unveil required a quieter kind of strength. The third mistake, he said, is the most dangerous because it wears the mask of peace. He let the words settle, their calmness at odds with the weight they carried. It is the lie people tell themselves to avoid change. He stepped away from the table and walked slowly toward the small window, the fading light outlining his silhouette. The lie is this: everything is okay. I'm fine. I don't need more. He turned back to me. It sounds harmless. It even sounds mature. But spiritually, it is lethal. His expression sharpened. Because when you claim things are fine, you shut the gates of abundance with your own hands. I felt something inside me recoil, a mix of recognition and discomfort. How many times had I told myself I was okay simply because I was afraid to admit I wasn't? How often had I used fine as a shield, disguising complacency as contentment? The rabbi continued, people say this lie for 3 reasons. First, fear. Fear of wanting more and not receiving it. Second, fatigue, because pretending takes less energy than transforming. And third, guilt, the belief that desiring abundance makes them ungrateful. He shook his head.
But abundance is not greed. Abundance is alignment. Desire is not a flaw. It is a signal. He returned to his seat and rested his hands gently on the table. There was a study done in Israel, he said. Researchers followed individuals who regularly used neutral self-descriptions about their financial state. Phrases like, "I'm okay," "I'm managing," "it's fine." Over several years, these individuals showed an average 12% decline in income and motivation. He looked at me meaningfully, not because life punished them, but because their words instructed their minds to stop reaching. The number didn't strike me as mathematical. It struck me as familiar. I could feel the truth of it pulsing quietly beneath the surface of my own life. The rabbi sensed the shift in my expression. "Understand this," he said gently. "Nothing is ever fully okay, not because life is bleak, but because the soul is infinite. There is always more to learn, more to give, more to receive. To say I'm fine is to declare an ending where there should be a beginning." His next words landed like a soft awakening. Prosperity doesn't leave people. People stop inviting it. They close the door politely, quietly, unintentionally. I felt the echo of that line ripple through me. Then the rabbi's voice warmed, wrapping the revelation in hope instead of fear. But here is the miracle. If words can close the gates, words can open them. If one sentence can trap you, another can free you. He leaned forward, eyes bright with certainty. You are one phrase away from reactivating the flow of abundance. He inhaled deeply, as though preparing to reveal something sacred, something long protected. Now, he said, you are ready to hear the 1-minute prayer that unlocks overflowing wealth. The rabbi sat down slowly, as if lowering himself into a moment that needed to be entered with intention. The air around us felt charged, almost expectant, as though the room itself knew that something sacred was about to be spoken. He folded his hands gently, letting a long breath settle the silence before he spoke. Now, he said, the 1-minute prayer works only when the heart is open and the vessel has space, and you have created that space. My pulse quickened. The weight of anticipation pressed lightly against my ribs. He continued, this prayer is simple, but its simplicity is its power. It aligns your energy, your mind, and your actions with the flow of abundance. And because it takes only 1 minute, it bypasses the excuses that keep people from spiritual practice. It is short enough to use daily and strong enough to change the trajectory of your wealth. He lifted one finger. There are 3 parts, and they must come in this order: gratitude, movement, expansion. Then he delivered the prayer, one deliberate word at a time. Thank God, I am ready, I am working, and I am expanding into abundance. He let the phrase hang in the air, as if allowing the vibration of the words to settle into the invisible architecture around us. Let me explain, he said. He pointed to the first part. Thank God. Gratitude is the spiritual ignition. It tells the universe, I recognize the blessing already present in my life. Gratitude shifts you into receptivity. It opens the gates. Then he moved to the next part. I am ready. Readiness is declaration. It tells heaven and earth, I am available for more. I am not hiding behind excuses, fear, or false humility. Without readiness, abundance has nowhere to land. Next, I am working. Movement is the bridge between the spiritual and the material. It doesn't mean exhausting yourself. It means showing up, taking aligned action, signaling that you are co-creating your future instead of waiting passively for miracles. Finally, I am expanding into abundance. Expansion, he said, is the invitation. It declares that your vessel is growing, that you are not clinging to the old version of yourself, that you are willing to stretch, evolve, and make room for overflow. I repeated the prayer silently, feeling its rhythm settle into my chest. It didn't sound like a mantra. It didn't sound like a wish. It felt like a contract, an agreement between who I was and who I was becoming. The rabbi gave one final instruction. Say this prayer once every morning. Set an alarm if you must. When the alarm rings, stop everything, just for 60 seconds, and speak it out loud. Not in your mind, with breath, with presence, with truth. He leaned back, eyes softening with certainty. If you say it daily, your life will not remain the same. It cannot. You have just given the universe a new command. A subtle warmth spread through my chest, hope mixed with a quiet knowing. And now, he said, you must see what happens when this prayer touches the life of someone who dares to use it. The rabbi closed his eyes briefly, as if summoning a memory that carried both weight and tenderness. When he opened them again, a softness had settled there, a softness reserved only for stories that transform those who hear them. Let me tell you about Miriam, he said quietly, a woman who discovered what happens when this prayer is not just recited, but lived. He folded his hands. When Miriam first came to me, she was exhausted, spiritually, emotionally, financially. She worked 2 jobs, slept too little, and carried the heavy shame of feeling stuck. Every sentence she spoke betrayed her inner world. I'm surviving. It's enough. I manage somehow. Words that kept her existence small, tight, suffocating. He paused. But she didn't need more effort. She needed alignment. I listened as he described the morning everything changed. She sat across from me, he continued, her shoulders slumped, her eyes hollow. I taught her the 1-minute prayer. At first she whispered it, barely audible. She felt unworthy of the words. Thank God, I am ready, I am working, and I am expanding into abundance. She said them like someone wearing clothes far too large. But she kept repeating it. For 9 days her voice trembled through the prayer. By the 19th, it carried strength. And by the 30th, something inside her had shifted. Not her circumstances, but her posture toward them. She began walking differently, making decisions differently, perceiving opportunities she had once been blind to. Then the external world started responding. First came a small promotion, unexpected, almost accidental. A supervisor who barely noticed her work suddenly commented on her consistency. Then she received a call from a former colleague offering part-time consulting work, a chance she would have dismissed before because she never saw herself as someone who could expand. The rabbi's eyes gleamed. But the turning point came on the 42nd day. She walked in with a look I recognized instantly, the look of someone whose reality has finally begun obeying their alignment. Miriam had been offered a full-time position at a company she once believed was too good for her. The salary was almost double what she had been earning. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like she was surviving. She felt like she was rising. And it didn't stop there, he added. Her relationship shifted. She stopped apologizing for existing. She began investing in herself. Small steps, but steps nonetheless. Her environment began rearranging itself to match her new vibration. He leaned back, letting the image settle. Do you see? The prayer did not give her wealth. It gave her alignment. And alignment attracted the opportunities that had been circling around her for years, waiting for her vessel to open. A quiet warmth spread in my chest, the kind that comes not from inspiration, but from recognition. Miriam's transformation felt like a mirror, one that reflected not just what was possible for her, but for anyone willing to speak truth into the silence. The rabbi let the room breathe for a moment before his voice softened again. But to truly grasp why her life changed, he said, you must understand the deeper structure, the blueprint behind Jewish prosperity. The rabbi inhaled slowly, as though gathering thousands of years of wisdom into a single breath. When he spoke again, his voice carried a depth that felt older than either of us. Now, he said softly, You must understand the architecture beneath everything, the blueprint that makes Jewish prosperity not a miracle, but a mechanism. He rested his hand on the ancient book once more. In our tradition, he began, the universe responds to structure, not chaos, not desperation, structure. He tapped the cover gently. And this structure begins with speech. Before mountains rose or rivers formed, God spoke, and the world obeyed. This is the foundation of all abundance. Words create pathways before actions walk them. His eyes locked on to mine. This is why the 1-minute prayer works. It follows the same divine sequence used in the creation of the world. Acknowledgement, activation, expansion. He lifted one finger. First, gratitude. Thank God. This mirrors the very first movement of creation. Recognition of light, recognition of goodness. Gratitude opens the spiritual channel. A second finger. Then, readiness. I am ready. In Jewish wisdom, readiness is not passive. It is a declaration of capacity. It signals that your vessel has space. A third finger. Next, action. I am working. The world favors those who move. Even if the steps are small, movement creates magnetic pull. It calls opportunity closer. A fourth. And finally, expansion. I am expanding into abundance. This mirrors the cosmic truth that creation did not end in one moment. It unfolded, grew, stretched outward. When you declare expansion, you emulate the divine pattern. He leaned forward. This is the blueprint. Creation, alignment, motion, expansion. Those who prosper, truly prosper, live by this sequence whether they know it or not. I felt the truth settling in my bones, forming a quiet conviction. The rabbi continued, but prosperity is not a one-time event. It is a relationship between your inner world and the outer one. The moment your language shrinks, your vessel shrinks. The moment your intention weakens, the current weakens. Sustaining abundance requires sustaining alignment. He then offered something that felt like both challenge and promise. Test this for 7 days, he said. Not to prove anything to me, but to demonstrate something to yourself. Speak the 1-minute prayer each morning. Observe your thoughts, your choices, your posture. Watch how the world mirrors your internal shift. His voice deepened. 7 is not random. It is the number of completion, the rhythm of creation itself. In 7 days, light took shape. Order emerged from chaos. Structure replaced the void. And in 7 days, you will see the first tremors of your own unfolding. I felt a quiet pulse of anticipation rise in my chest. He closed the book gently, sealing centuries of wisdom with a soft thud. You now understand the law, the mechanism, the pattern that governs blessing. But there is one final step. His gaze softened. For wisdom without blessing is incomplete, and blessing without transmission is unfinished. He drew in a slow breath. It is time, he whispered, for the closing, where the ancient blessing meets your new path. The rabbi placed his hands flat on the table, almost ceremonially, as though anchoring everything we had uncovered. His posture shifted, not heavier, but more grounded, as if he were preparing to speak not just to me, but to every future version of me that would listen long after this moment ended. His voice softened into something warm, steady, and quietly luminous. Now, he said, you stand at the gate of a new chapter. You understand the law, the mistakes, the vessel, the prayer. All that remains is to seal it. He looked directly into my eyes, and for a moment, it felt as though the entire room exhaled. Remember this, he said. Do not speak limitation. Do not say, I'm fine, when your soul is asking for more. Do not shrink your desires to fit the boundaries of your past. Say instead, thank God I am ready, I am working, and I am expanding into abundance. Let these words become the rhythm of your mornings. He paused, letting the sentence echo like a gentle chime vibrating through the air. Because the prayer is not magic, he continued. It is partnership. It is alignment. It is you stepping into the original language of creation and using it to shape your path. There was a clarity in his tone, a certainty that made me feel as though the future had already begun responding. Then his expression softened even further, reverent, almost ritualistic. "Now receive this," he said, and the cadence of his voice shifted into something ancient. "May the Lord bless you and guard you. May the Lord shine his light upon you and show you grace. May the Lord lift his countenance toward you and grant you peace, prosperity, and overflowing abundance." The blessing washed over me like warm water flowing from crown to chest, settling in a place deeper than thought. It felt familiar, as if my spirit recognized these words before my mind did. For several breaths, neither of us spoke. The silence was not empty. It was full, thick with presence, with possibility, with a quiet knowing that something had truly shifted. Then the rabbi inhaled slowly and leaned forward, his voice now gentle but firm. "There is one final action," he said, "a symbolic gesture that completes the circle of receiving." His gaze held mine with a seriousness that felt like a passing of responsibility. "Share this with 3 people who need it, not as advice, not as instruction, as blessing," he explained. "In our tradition, blessing multiplies only when it is given. Wealth expands when shared. Light strengthens when passed hand to hand. When you share this teaching, you do not just help another, you solidify your own path." His final words settled like a seal pressed onto wax. "Walk with intention, speak with alignment, grow without fear. Your abundance is not a distant dream. It has already begun moving toward you." And with that, the room grew still, as though the blessing itself had taken its final sacred breath.